Evening and welcome to another Mid-States Minute. This is your audio-visual check. Let me get that volume up there. Hey Nate, welcome. We're just doing a little rando test, make sure everything's good for the audio-visual, and we're gonna get started here in just a second. So everybody can hear me. We don't have any problems with voice or video. I know last week a couple folks mentioned that they couldn't hear, so we're gonna check that out and see what's going on. Jackie, Brent, I see you're in here twice. Rodney, Reagan. Let's see. That a little bit bigger for everybody so I can see the comments. All right, Chuck, what's up? Kent. All right, cool. All right, we'll build this up a little bit. And before we get started. All right, so we're Lima Charlie 5 and Diamond, as we like to say on the ship. And we have a puppy with us tonight. So we're just going to go over a couple things. We're going to talk about counterfeit items. We're going to talk about the pink Rockster tonight, because that's the party car. And let's see, we'll talk about, there's a question about favorite customs and something in my collection that you guys haven't seen that I really love. And then there were some questions posted by the one, the only, the legendary Mr. Dave Baumgartner. So with that, we're going to get started and let's have a good time. All right, Fred, welcome. Yeah, puppy is being very good. She's sitting there not doing anything. All right, so first of all, how are you all doing? Everything all right? Everybody all happy, doing well? Steve Floor, good to see you, man. I am glad you are here. Carl, welcome. All right. Are we back? Okay, sorry about that. Got a phone call in there. Yeah, I'm sorry, Bill. You've got a real... life sucks for you right now. All right, so but we will answer Bill's question here before we do anything else. None of the white vans will come from the factory with real riders. Now you can choose to customize them all you want. This van works really well to do that. It fits perfectly onto the base of our custom club car. So just a thought, feel free to customize yourself. All right, so I just wanted to answer that for Bill because he didn't have a lot of time to pop in there. All right, so counterfeit items. And what are they? And how can you spot them? And why we need to, as a hobby, make sure that stays under control. Okay, so I have with me an example of something that I feel like was misrepresented to me when I bought this. This is a real red line. I have no doubt about that. It was portrayed to me as a used one. I'm going to get it a little bit closer here. And that it was original, like there was no work done to it. And when you're buying items like this, you know, your eyes get big. You're like, oh, this is cool. I get a real nice red line that doesn't have a lot of paint chips or anything like that. Well, what I didn't notice, and here I'll show you here, is that if you look at the front rivet, it looks like it's been drilled and somebody plugged the top back into it. And then I started looking a little bit closer, and the glass on this Light My Firebird is perfect, like beyond perfect. So I think they got some restoration parts for it. I would classify this as a restored redline versus an original one. So, you know, things you need to look out for: rivets being drilled, obviously. Like new or almost new interiors, engines, glass, you know, especially with red lines. If you're not sure about what it is you're looking at, Redline Archaeology is a great source to look at. Hold on a second. Puppy wants to escape. You want out, Murph? Okay. Go get your boy. Sorry about that. We're talking about Redline Archaeology and using that as a resource. The Hot Wheels newsletter on Facebook is another great source. You know, just other collectors too. They are all, some of the people I know, like Greg Sully, he has a very good eye for finding or letting me know what a car is worth, whether or not it's legit or not legit, things you have to look out for, colors, things like that. So, any questions on fakes or anything else? I mean, it's pretty easy to fake some of these items, especially stickers on cards. And what I'm talking about is, you see these hologram stickers that say factory sealed sets, whatever year, and you see them placed on cards, and folks get, oh, it's something special. It's just a sticker. A couple other folks that popped in: Titan, Dave, Mike, Aaron, thanks for coming in tonight. And we're just talking about things that can be counterfeited and how easy it is to do it and how to look out for signs for it. And we were talking about specifically the stickers that can be peeled on and off of cars. So if there's any questions or comments, you know, please let me know or pipe up, because we encourage that from everybody. No question is going to get turned down. There's nothing wrong. If you think it may seem silly, don't, because at some point, somewhere, somebody had the same question. Chris, thanks for coming tonight. And if else, we'll talk about the Rockster next. For popping in. As always, it's good to see you. The Rockster, if those of you who haven't seen it yet, it's on T Hunted's page. I think it's just gorgeous. If you don't know what that looks like, I have one here for reference. A Rockster from Dallas. And then with that, you know, imagine where it's yellow, it's going to be a hot pink. And it's using the wheels that it featured here, which are called the exotic wheels. I just think this is going to be absolutely gorgeous. I hope Mark and Jennifer can get their hands on these. They show up eventually. And so we can get them purchased. Chrome pink, that is the technical color there. So any questions on that? As far as I know, purchasing them, historically you paid $20 at the actual convention for them. I think if the folks that are running the convention get a hold of them, they're supposed to be shipped to the West Coast from the East Coast. They'll be for sale to and then after that, I'm not sure how it's going to work out. So usually, historically, they would go for sale on the RLC site a couple weeks after, maybe a month. I'm not exactly sure how that's all going to work out. Stacy, how are you doing? So we just talked about the Rockster and counterfeit items. So we'll move on. Club vans. I got some information today that they are probably about 2 weeks from being shipped from the East Coast out to here. We put out a couple more teaser pics to highlight some of the other details that were featured. I think everybody's going to be thoroughly impressed with the car. And the other great thing is they're all screwed together, so that means you guys can customize them as you want. I'm doing good, man. How are you? And Adam, thanks for coming in. So, like I said, we're probably about 2 weeks away from them getting here, which is perfect. That still gives us about a month from the next club meet, provided everybody does what they're supposed to with the stay-at-home orders. So, like I said, they're probably about 2 weeks from being mailed, so maybe about another 3 weeks total, and they'll be here in Nebraska. Any questions on club cars while we're at it? For those that joined in late, I did mention that none of the white vans will have real riders on them. Somebody had asked that, and that doesn't mean you can't customize them to however you want to do it. I mean, it's your car. Feel free to make it your own. I know everybody is in that same boat. We all just want this thing to go away so we can get out there and do the things that we love, and which is getting together and talking about Hot Wheels and collecting and buying. That's what we do. I mean, I am really just wanting to see everybody's face again and say, hey, I've missed you. I mean, I want to see the guys again. I really do. That's what I miss right now, is not getting to see you face to face in me leaving. I just want to see you guys. That's what it is. Or as Brent says, we leave the vans alone. Okay. I mean, you guys, how you want to customize your vans. Steve, thanks for coming tonight. Let's see here. Okay, so I had a question from Hot Wheels guy, and his question was basically, what is my favorite custom that I've done or received, and some other cars that I really love that I haven't shown today or haven't shown you in the past. Well, the first things we're going to start out with are some of the customs. These are different ones. Some of them I've made. Some of them are from, most of the rest are from other people. And what we're going to start off with is a custom 67 Chevy C10. I really just wanted to show the card art off for this. This is from the Guy's Pizza in Dallas in 2018. This is something that's put together by a couple of folks who just wanted to say thank you for coming and getting together. And on the back, here's what the card says also. Somewhere in here. Been somewhere in the stack somewhere. I can't find it right now. But this is a collaboration of Mr. Mike Barnes and Greg, not Greg. Greg and Roy, Greg Sully and Roy Friend. This is something that these folks put together at no charge to anybody else. It's not on the schedule. It's just a bunch of really good guys hanging out, eating pizza, talking cars, having fun. So this is one of my favorites. I got to go to this the very first time I went to the convention. That's something that most people don't get to do. So that was really cool to be invited to that. Okay, next up, this is one of the All Iowa Hot Wheels Club. This is one of their cars. I'm going to get that up a little bit here. I think this was their 10th anniversary car that they did. It's a 62 Chevy pickup. I'm not sure who does their cars, but they did a really good job with that. Again, the 62 pickup. Here is another one. This is from a guy by his nickname is Squirrel. Is Mr. Greg Sully, and it says Boned in Dallas, and he is a big Bone Shaker fan, and you see he had the eyes done in red on Real Riders, and this is something that you'll see in at the conventions where people will just give cars away to each other. It's called Roking, or RAOK, stands for Random Act of Kindness. But this was cool. Again, I got this in Dallas as one of the first cars that I got. Let's see here. We'll move on to one of my customs. This is the Fast and Furious white Toyota Supra. This is probably one of the last Supras made before they got the license back. I use Scooby-Doo, 4-spoke, Mystery Machine wheels. And all of mine, when I make them, are drilled, tapped, and re-screwed. So I like this one mainly because it just comes out really nice. I like the orange wheels on it. Oh, okay. The Integra. I've had this for a couple years now. I didn't even know it until I was going through some cars, and I'm like, well, I'm going to get rid of this car. Well, I took it, I pulled it out, and I looked, and I go, something's not right. And if you'll see, up at the front and rear posts, they're not smashed down. So this is a truly unspun car. It looks like there's enough on there to like hold it in place, but I found that, and I'm going, holy crap, that's my first unspun, and I didn't even know it. So that's kind of why it's something cool that I didn't even know I had. All right. Okay. This is my newsletter car from Chicago this year. The newsletter cars are made by Chris Stangler. He makes all of them for the newsletter. And depending on what car they use, there's different versions of it. This year they used a Mustang. And I think there were 6 different versions altogether. So I like this one because it's a Datsun 510, and I like Datsun 510s. All right. So we'll move on to there. I'm going to feature 2 club cars. And first one is a Nissan Skyline, and it is one of the Charm City cars that Dave produces, and James and Marcus Sansone. This is the Christmas car, and this one has the Little Red Ryder BB gun on it. And then if you'll see in the back, it does have the lampshade. We can't have a Christmas Story without that lampshade. Again, real riders, it rolls. It's a very cool car. And let's see here. This is from Wayne in the Charm City Club. This is a hydro-dipped car. I'm not really sure on the process for this and how it works, but I just think this car is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm not sure what the process is, but he just puts up some amazing cars. He's been showing these off on our page. So if you have any questions, ask him. They're usually for sale too. He does this, just does an amazing job. So one of the last three cars I want to talk about is this one right here. This was Calvin Cohen's road car for Dallas. He is a member in Charm City, and lost his wife before the Dallas event, and so this is what he wanted to do in her memory. And this is just an absolutely gorgeous piece of a great car, and I'm lucky to have it. I'm very honored to have this. Dave, that would be awesome if you can, maybe we can set something up sometime, or we can hop in on the custom tutorial next year. All right, so the last three I want to talk about are three cars that I did for the LA Custom Contest. Now, I will say this. I am nowhere near talented enough to be in any of those contests. But I wanted to do it, and just to say that I did it. And the casting I picked was the 55 Bel Air, and I wanted to do it in a process where the car's apart or in the raw form, and where it's primered into a finished product, kind of like you see on the car repair shows. And I used this one in particular because you can see it's missing some of the slag, and there was extra pieces of metal and stuff. So this casting had some defects in it and along the bottom. So I just wanted to show this is what a car would look like once it's been sent to the dipper or been completely stripped of paint and everything, is kind of show the imperfections. And again, it didn't have any glass in it. And then the next version was a completely primered. And again, you see I used different wheels on that. Different interior, again, no glass. And I did a little bit of detail work underneath, just kind of show this is what it would be mocked up if they were going to fit. Yeah, we both got slaughtered. But it's the experience. That's why I did it. So, yeah, this is one of my favorite cars. And then you have your final product here. And I did a fade, and I used a paint called Diamond Dust, and I think Electric Pink. And then they're real riders with, I think I had some lettering on these. Nope, they're just straight black. And then detailed the front, and well, and all of this is hand painted, but here I'll show the tail lights too. I did those blacked out. You know, the work that people put into these customs to enter these contests, they're good enough to work anywhere in the country. And it was a humbling experience to put my stuff up against them, but it was a really great experience too, because it was something that I was like, okay, just to do it. That's what was so great about it. It wasn't so much about winning or being recognized. It was like, yep, I had a car in the 50th anniversary LA convention custom contest. So that's that. Okay. The last car I want to talk about tonight, that there's only a handful of people about this car or even know what this car means. And we're there that night. Thank you. Because it's probably the best memory of Hot Wheels I will ever this car is this. I met this chick back home, and me the first day I met her, and said I was stupid for bringing home a 6-pack and a pound, and from Columbus, which is about 50 miles away, I could eat full pork roast and everything like that, because we were having a baby shower at my sister's house. And this girl goes, well, why'd you do that? We have all this food here and you eat that. And I go, well, I wanted it. Anyway, my sister goes, hey, Robin, you should go out with my brother. He's a nice guy. And my sister goes out and tells every embarrassing story about me, blah, 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 blah. Well, sure enough, yeah, we'll get to that too. Sure enough, we start going out and whatnot, and I say, well, I'll propose to her. And we go to Dallas, and I have the ring with me, but I'm thinking, like, how am I going to do this? And to Roy, friend, and with the help of Roy, Dave Baumgartner, David Rice, Mike Barnes, and the whole bunch of other people that I can't even remember. We came up with a plan, and they found 2 old 50-year-old pieces of track that are probably 50 feet long, some pizza boxes, and some chairs that we stole from the convention center where they were holding the actual finale at midnight. And we put this track together, and this guy by the name of Brendan and his wife Coco are sitting here helping Greg put this track together. And Coco, bless her heart, it marks in her knees from the track. It had dug into her skin so tight. So we used this car right here. It's called the Pedal Driver. And this is the first car that Robin ever bought. This is her car. This is her casting. She has every single one that we know about. The piece of masking tape in here, donated by David Rice. And that's how we held the ring in there. So they ran a few cars down this track trying to test it out, and cars were flying off all over the place, and it wasn't working. We're like, I don't know how this is going to work. So Robin had slept through most of the night, so she's kind of half asleep. She doesn't really know what's going on. She wants to go home. So we get the car up there. Greg's like, I'll run with you. he's got the 67 Camaro, and I put this thing up there, and they're like, what's this pedal driver doing up there? And Brendan's trying to tell me, don't pick the left lane, because that's the one where I was running down, because that's the one where everybody fell off. So we bent the tires on the car, and we sent it down, and it didn't fall off, and made it all the way to the end. She picks it up, and there's the ring in the car, and that's how I proposed to her. So this car is invaluable. There is no price that you can put on this car, ever. It is the most popular. There ain't but 10 people until tonight that know the story about this car. And to those who helped, I will be forever grateful. So that's a car that nobody ever gets to see. It's not down in this room. It's in a different part of the house. And it's for a reason. Kyle, good to see you. You were there that night. You would have, but, you know, I think it worked out. Okay. I think we've had enough sob story now. So we're going to talk more about, well, is that their favorite car or their favorite casting they want to talk about before we move on? The future of the club. That was a fun night. Like I said, I don't think I've ever been to another night of Hot Wheels or anything in Hot Wheels that equals that. So let's talk about the direction of the club. And wagons and 65 Impalas. Yeah, there's a video of it somewhere. It does exist. There are separate pictures on South Texas's website somewhere, their Facebook page, buried probably 2 years ago in there. Out west, that's all I'm gonna say about that. That video got to be seen by people in a certain little town in El Segundo, California. So everybody's talking about wagons, BMWs, and Monte Carlos, and early Camaros, all very awesome cars. Really cool stuff. I like the 70 Monte. Early Camaros are cool too. The 65 Impala, that's great. That's an awesome car, but I like the 61 and 62 bubble tops. Well, let's see here. Shirts. You guys want to talk about shirts? We can talk about shirts. Shirt. But we want to finish up with the club cars first. And we just need to finish tweaking. I talked to James out in Baltimore to finish that up. It was a good night. Thunder Rollers. Something like a couple different colors of shirts that everybody can pick of. We'll probably have a similar format. We're going to do this made to order. So, however, we're not going to have like 6 million XLs in red or black or whatever. We're going to say we'll come down to a couple colors to choose from, and then we're going to go, if 6 people want XLs, that's all we're going to get. You know, we'll have a big enough order to cover some, maybe a little bit of extra, but we don't want to hold on to these things forever. And that's the whole idea. We're going to use the same premise and setup that we did for the club cars. So once I talk to James and we get the talked about and through and finished up, I haven't talked to him in quite a long time about that. So I need to get going on that. Okay, the future of the club. This was a question that Dave put forth. And basically, if you hadn't seen his question was this: what did Brent and myself see the future of the club? Were we looking to be just more vendor? Were we looking for more races? You know, where were we pushing this? Are we just doing more of the vendor side of it, or are we going to turn this into a racing club? And here's my answer, and I'll let Brent have his here in a second. I think we're going to do a little bit of both. The vendor side of it is how we get people in the door. You know, come to buy, sell, trade your Hot Wheels. And then once we get them in the door, they get to the atmosphere and the sense of community that we have. And those who have been to our shows know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's where we want. We want people to hang out for the whole entire time. And we just talk about cars. We talk about different eras. We'll talk about life in general, you know, because everybody's got crazy things going on. And, you know, we're getting ready to have our first race, and I think that's going to derive more racing, I think. Honestly, I think the future of our club is going to be more and more things that, like we're doing right now with the Mid-States Minute and whatnot, because with Nebraska, everybody's spread out. You know, it's 2 hours for me to get to Sioux City, Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, and the same for everybody else to get up to here. So we have to use social media and Facebook to stay connected and stay talking with each other. It's better than having 6 different text conversations with folks. So social media, I think, is going to be where we drive most of everything, but that's just it. It drives us. What gets us together is wanting to be around each other. This is just going to be the medium in which we put information out. So that's where I see it, where I see us going. There are some long-term goals that Brent and I have. One of them, Nationals in Omaha. That's what we want. That is what we really want Mattel, Collectors Events Unlimited to know. We want Nationals in Omaha. But we can't do that if we don't have a club presence locally, nationally too. And the folks from Charm City are helping support that. Without you guys, we can't have a local club. And with that, once we start going to nationals and making ourselves known, we can start building on trying to get to Omaha. Now, there's other things that come into it, but we've got to show Collectors Events Unlimited and Mattel in general that there is an interest and that there's a good reason to come to Omaha. unless everybody's on the same page and everybody's working together. So that's what I'm asking for everybody. Brent, what's your thoughts? I just saw you posted something in there. Yeah, Dave, we'll get there. We gotta come out. We really, really gotta come out there. Really just need to keep growing. And how we do that is through you guys, talking to your friends and other collectors that may not be on Facebook or that are in different locations that are other places. I know, it's just, I miss you guys. I miss you guys a lot. So that's just my thoughts on the future of where we're going on it. One of the things about races that I really enjoy and I didn't really know at first was when I went to Chicago to the Nationals in 19 with Mike. It was one of those deals where I'd never been to a Sizzlers race. I'd seen them on TV or on the internet, but I'd never seen them in live in person, and I was blown away. They have spreadsheets of how fast these cars go in the lap times related them to real times, and the cars were roughly going about 200 miles an hour if they were to be on a life-size track. That's crazy. You know, and Sizzlers haven't really been around for a long time. So you're talking about 40-plus-year-old cars going 200 miles an hour. That's insane. It's just insane to see how fast those cars go. So that aspect of it really intrigued me. And then the other part is I want to see the creativity of our folks when we do an all open race, which is you can do whatever you want to your car. You can weight it, you can have plastics, FTEs, you can do whatever you want. Or we do ID cars, you know. We there are so many different categories and ways to do to watch and do this. So we're only limited by our imagination. But we got to do the Supra race first. Last question that Dave brought up. Yeah. Run what you bring. The last question that Dave brought up was if we could have anyone from Mattel come hang out with us for a day at one of our meets, who would it be? Who I'd want, and then Brent's gonna share his, and then we'll leave it. We'll open it up to everybody to have theirs. And when you pick somebody, pick a reason why. For me, if Elliot Handler was still alive today, I would like for him to come to one of our things, one of our events, and see Hot Wheels have come since he decreed for Hot Wheels to be made in the mid to late 60s. And those who don't know who Elliot Handler is, he was the head of Mattel back in the 60s in California. And they already had Barbie, you know, Barbie's Barbie. But they wanted to have a toy that kids could race, that was cheap, and it was a car that could envision the California lifestyle of the early to mid 60s with really cool cars, cool music, Beach Boys, all of that. So from that inspiration and through design and testing, that's where red lines come from. And then from red lines succeeds black walls to the blue cards into treasure hunt era, and then ultimately the super treasure hunt era to today. So having him in our club to watch and see how everybody interacts with each other and how the different eras work together and fit in as one unit would be really cool. I think you'd be kind of amazed by that. So Brent, it's your turn. Who would you have? Want to mention who what your two specific reasons were here? That would be awesome. Would, because of the 380, and those who don't, um, Brent, he is a 380 SEL guy. I've never seen so many in my life that he has, and he's got, was it 4 of the 6 known or 5 of the 6 known prototypes that are known to exist? The same question I asked Brent. If you could have anybody hang out, who would it be? Everybody, add their input. I'll throw out a couple other names here, so in case if you're not real sure. Brendan Viteski, he is the gentleman who came up with this car right here, the 55 Gasser. This is one of his main cars. Well, this is his car. Another good choice, Manson Chung. He is the one who came up with Ecto 1, along with the Mystery Machine. Oh, did he do? No, not Mystery Machine, but DeLorean from Back to the Future. He did that. It can be anybody you want. It could be, Chris Walker and Mike Zarnock were both referenced too. So it could be anybody. Is the guy who's pretty much led the JDM invasion in tens, late aughts in the 2000s. And Howard Reese would be another person I'd like to talk to. He came up with the first edition Skyline, or the boxy Skyline R32. So just some folks to mention if you guys want to talk about that amongst us. I know Stephen Krebs, you're a huge JDM fan. I'd like to mention or say the designer of this car, that would be cool too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, just spit it out, Kyle. Go ahead and say whoever you want to do. There's no wrong answer. I think that would hold true for a lot of people, Hot Wheels guy. I think getting the chance to meet Larry and talk to him would be experience. I don't ever relish going through the line and not getting his autograph. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So, for those who don't know Jimmy, Kyle mentions it a little bit. He is the marketing guy, and he kind of does up the Legends tour and gets that going, and with that, so I think Kyle makes a really good point, because if you look at the Legends tour, the last 2 years in particular, it didn't come through South Dakota, it didn't come through Nebraska, it got to St. Louis, hit Kansas City, and went south to Kansas. We got missed. And a small market. But just because we're small doesn't mean we can't be vocal. So we've got to show Jimmy our passion and our desire to want to make Mattel come here. So I think that's a great choice there, Kyle. And, a good reason as to why we want that to happen. I mean, I just think that we have the right people, and you guys are the right people to sit here and have to do it. But we've got to show Mattel, and we got to show Collectors Events Unlimited that Omaha is marketable for it. We've got to be able to show that they got the hotel, they've got the attractions, they've got, Phil would be really cool to hang out with too. We've got the accommodations, we've got the nightlife, and that ain't no lie. But, some of that goes into, can we do room to room? If a hotel doesn't have a room to room policy, or the state doesn't allow that, then that kind of puts a damper on things. So all of that comes into play. Now, do I think Omaha can do it? You bet it can, because we host the College World Series every year. We host Warren Buffett's stockholder meeting every year. We hold Olympic swim trials every 4 years. The MLB draft will be in Omaha. Hold here in Omaha. We have the zoo. We have the old market. We got the Sac Museum. We've got the river. There's gambling across the river in Council Bluffs. There are things here to do to hold everybody's attention other than Hot Wheels. We just got to show how to do it. Brian, thanks for coming. And Kyle has mentioned Brendan. Rising is huge within C4. And the skill level in C4 is amazing. Well, that extra bedroom, Dave, would be in Blair, not in Norfolk, because for those that don't know the layout of Nebraska very well, I'm 2 hours away and Brent's about 15 minutes. So we'll all crash it at Brent's house, and he's got the land to do it on top of that, so we'll just pitch a tent and call it good. Hey, Brian. Oh, yep, College World Series as well. Jason Jacoby. Man, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in like almost 20 years, dude. I miss hanging out with you. Volunteered your house, Brent. So, Roy, Greg, Mike, Scott, we're going to have a tent party out at Brent's house. And there's a lake. We can go fishing. We can do all sorts of stuff. Thoughts on where the ultimate goal for everything is? You're going to need a little bit more beer. Or Fireball. We won't talk about that. You talk about fireballing me, and that's not a good story. I think that's pretty much everything I had on my list for tonight. Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns? Um, where do you guys see the club going, or where do you want to see it going? I guess I didn't really ask that question. That's one of the things too is, you know, plane tickets to get into Omaha. You know, those towns, the cities that you mentioned, all are major hubs for United, American, Delta. You know, it's easy to get flights in and out of. You know, if you like Southwest, you can go to Omaha too. You know, anybody out there want to talk about where they see the future of the club at? All the feedback tonight has been absolutely positive and wonderful to hear. Um, to move it to Thursdays and get a lot of good interaction with folks. So we can keep this going if we want to. I just don't know of any other questions or comments right now. Went through my list. Oh, there. Oh yeah, we'll talk about this. So next week we'll do it again, but we're gonna have a new host next week. From Blair, Nebraska, Mr. Brent Hetrick will be hosting next week's Mid-States Minute. And he's going to be doing that from his place. And he's going to talk about errors. That's the big thing that he wants to talk about. And specifically to talk about what is an error, what isn't an error, and what makes an error more valuable or less valuable. So that's the question that Jesse Smith had that we're going to get answered next week because somebody has internet at their house now. I want to see the woolly mammoth loose and on camera. Donnie, thanks for coming tonight. So we'll have a couple other topics. We'll put up the post again. And by all means, guys, post questions, post comments. We'll try to do some research and have some talking points for you. Again, Dave, as always, great questions that you put towards us tonight. And if you guys want to keep going, we can. I don't want to cut it off at an hour if you guys want to keep talking. So anything you guys want to put out there, questions about, let me know. It seems to me like the shirt topic is the topic that's got everybody's interest the most, though. So if you want to talk about that, we can talk about the shirts. You guys think of the previews this morning of the car? Definitely going to do the airs. That has been on the radar for the last 2 shows, actually. Brent has his box. Black is a good color. I always love black. Color because it's Nebraska. Look at that. Kyle wants to go live to open a car. Oh, Lord. God, every time I think I get it, I find a new one. Real Rider Greased Gremlin. For you know what that is, I've only seen one ever. And it was in Chicago last year. It's a Mexican, it's the Mexico version car. And I think it's green in color. The one I saw was kind of beat up and it had white hubs on it, which, yeah, that I would say that would be it, Dave. Teaser. Teaser. The reason why we're doing that is we want to make you guys drool a little bit, because if we just put it out there, I know you guys will love it, but this just keeps you all on suspense a little bit more. It's gonna be, that club car is just gonna be great. So Brent, you've been asked what's your grail car. Brent to pop in here with that answer. If anybody else wants to pop in with their grail car, go for it. The more the better. We've talked about that many a times, haven't we? I think you've got those on watch, like every time one pops up. He loves his Benzes. What a Leo Mercedes is. Leo is actually a company during the 80s and early 90s that was from India, and that's where Mattel sold their car. They were a distributor for Mattel. They don't do that anymore. I think they stopped in 890s, like 98, 99. Looking at the card art that I've seen recently. So they come, sometimes they're made confused to think with either France or Italy, but they're mainly from India. Wing Mopars and Gassers are also awesome cars there. Reagan, what were you trying to say, Dave? Is not your friend. It never is. They're the hot car right now. If I could, if I find the MEA or a Striper at a reasonable price, and what I consider reasonable is less than $500, I would be Redline Super Van. That would be cool. That would be the pricey stuff. No, Justin. I think that's an awesome choice. It fits in well with this group, and that would be an awesome piece to have. I hope you get that someday. The MEA candy cane would be cool. I mean, if I can't get the Grease Gremlin, there's a Toy Fair Skyline or a Toy Fair GTR that I'd like to get my hands on, or a GTR. That would be on the newer side of cars, not the older side. The newer side, those two GTRs would be nice to have. The one grail piece that I have already, as far as newer stuff goes, is my blue Skyline. Yep, that is a awesome car. Another older car that I think I would like to get my hand. Well, it's not just one car in particular. It's about 4 cars. Dodge Murata, Torino, the yellow one with the 17 on it, either in gold hot ones or whatever. Yellow lowdown, and which is the second generation body style Monte Carlo, I think. And front running Fairlane, which I do have, but mine's not exactly pink mint. It's got some rub on it, so I could find another one of those. Those 4 from that area, I think I would love to do. Likes a fat fendered 40 Ford 2-door Real Rider. Do you want gray hub or white hub there, Ed? I know you do. I've seen pictures of it. But it's an awesome car. I mean, just that Torino in general is awesome. Okay, let me grab that for you. I think Brent or Dave, you have a couple of those too, don't you? Those lowdowns. The 40 Ford for Ed. Okay. So here is one. It's in blue and green. Chrome base. And look at that. Oh, that's metal. Plastic based cars back in the 70s, folks. Here's the other one. This is the one I remember most because I actually had one of these and I took a firecracker and blew the roof off of it. But there's this version. Shape considering. To know what a lowdown is, that's what it is. Cool cars. There's, I think, a couple of these in different solid colors too that are not U.S., Malaysia, Hong Kong release. I think they might be Leos. Yeah, Dave has all the really cool race cars from back in the day. Those 4 I mentioned. Plus, he probably got a couple flat out 442s. All right. Did anybody want to talk about what they saw the future of the club for? Or in their eyes, what they saw the future of the club? Or do we want to keep going? I had one and I didn't realize what I had done to it until later. When I stuck the firecracker in there and blew off the top, it was pretty cool. Not black cats, but boomers. Python too. I actually buried that in a dirt pile somewhere in York in my first house when we were kids. Car went. Questions, or do we want to keep going, or do we just want to call it a night? It's up to you. This is for you guys. I could talk cars all night long. Give it a couple more seconds here. Kind of watching the screen and watching the camera at the same time. So if you see me looking off, I'm looking at the big screen. Justin, I get a big sense of we're all working together and kind of coming together. We're helping each other out. What I forgot to do tonight, though, Justin, was put up the display set that you had, or stand that you sent me, so we could put that on the rotator. So next time I host, I'll try to have that up. I think the races are going to be a big hit. The one other thing that I want to talk about with direction, um, the kids involved, and we got to get them more involved because they're the future. We're not going to have a future. So, when you see the kids in the aisles and whatnot, let them go first. Let them pick out their cars. Because I'll guarantee you they don't pick out the same stuff that you and I pick out. Let them have fun in the races. We're going to try to make that a point of emphasis. It may not be for trophies, bragging rights, or anything like that, but it's just to let it go and let them have fun. So if we can get that passion started when they're young, it'll allow us to keep doing this later on in life. So when we're old and crusty and walking around with canes. And believe me, I saw 80-year-old dudes in LA looking to buy cars and stuff. So that passion never goes away. And that's an awesome thing. Dave, thank you for the comment. You guys have been so receptive to us and been so helpful. And I have asked for a better bunch of people to mentor this club and whatnot. I know I say that every time, but it's just the honest God's truth. And I think, we have a great future here. Backing up a little bit, Ed was talking about Super First Edition, Super Comp Dragster card there, Ed. I would like to see a picture of that. If you could find a way to take a picture and post it, that would be awesome. Jesse, thanks for coming. I think we're going to do one more full-blown sneak of the club car. No, I pay them. That's how it really works. I think we'll do a full-blown sneak here in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. And that organizing doesn't come from just me. Brent and Fred do a great job of help keeping me on the straight and narrow so that I don't get lost. So without them, and that aren't, I don't know if they're in here tonight. Anyways, I don't think we'd be here. And the other part of it is the sounding board that comes from folks like Dave, Roy, Greg Sully, Mike Barnes. Yeah, Brent, you're here, and Brent. sanity. He really is. Keep me reined in when I need to and helps push me uh, when we need to. Just keep growing and having fun and not causing drama. Oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it. But no damn drama. We're all big guys here. We all do a good job of communicating with each other. And definitely key. I love your point that you just made there, Hot Wheels guy. I mean, fun time jumping up and down and just enjoying it, knowing that feeling. That's really what I'm missing right now. Going to the store and finding that one car you're looking for and say, oh my God, I finally found it. I have it in my hand. Hot Wheels guy, you hit it on the head. And Aaron, you're absolutely right too. Fun. Just have fun. Um, of this, we're going to have some fun. That. All right. Any other questions, comments? I mean, I think we're having a good show here. Let's keep it rolling. If we want to keep it going, let's go. If not, I'm okay with calling it a night. I know it's getting a little bit later on the East Coast. Is definitely what's that. And if we want to keep that thrill of the hunt, we got to work together on that. If you're out there grabbing up everything, talk to them. Ask them why they got to take all the good stuff. Don't be mean. Don't be rude. Clean each other, because sometimes there's kids that just want to play with cars and then they forget to put them back. But if you see that guy that's out there, just grabbing all the good stuff, don't ridicule them. Just say, hey, look, why do you do that? Why can't we help each other? Don't get mean or rude or nasty with them. Don't go down to their level. Just talk to them. And you know what you're going to find out is some guys just collect extras so that they have trade bait. Guys who are, you know, Hot Wheels guy makes a great point. We control our image. We control our destiny. So let's set the example so that when we roll in the toy aisle and the toy managers and the toy workers see us, they're not going, oh crap. That's how I met Chris Smith. That's how I met Jesse. That's how I met Adam. That's how I met Fred. Um, place points. You want to leave it in better shape than you got it. And it's hard, guys. I know it, because we're all short on time. But if you just put a few cars away and make an effort, if you get to open a case, offer to hang all the cars. But you don't want to put the club in a bad light. And if something like that happens, I'm not saying to dime people out, or if you feel like something wasn't right, or wasn't treated right, see if you guys can resolve it amongst yourselves first, privately, and then if that doesn't work, we'll go from there. But the big thing is just talk things out. You're not representing yourself, you're representing the club. And just a little story on that. Roy, friend, and I were talking. Roy is the president of C4. And he was talking to me one night. He goes, why I like watching you come in there? Because you wear that C4 shirt with a sense of pride. Like it's a badge. And you want to represent us, all of us, in a positive light. And that's what I want for everybody here. So when we get that shirt, we're going to wear it. We're going to wear it loud, and we're going to wear it proud. And, wear it out in town when you're out hunting. I mean, without people knowing about it, nobody knows about us. So comments, I'm trying not to be preachy. A little bit last week. Let's support, we support other clubs too. I know Aaron's in here tonight. One of each. We can do that. I know Aaron's in here tonight. He's been a big supporter of us, and we've supported him. And that's what this is really about. So let's keep up that good work and hard work. Concerns. What I like about our club is we've got a core group of people. Well, I shouldn't say core group. We've got the whole club really. I just don't see the drama that I see on Facebook and some of the other groups and on the reference check page. It's just, I think a lot of us are like-minded, and we think the same way. And we truly, genuinely want to help each other. From that, I just don't see pettiness sometimes. Now that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. No, Justin, we're trying to work on that. There are things in motion in the background that we're trying to get out your way. Question whether or not anybody would like a show in Kearney. I don't really want to go too much in depth into it because we're still in the early. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this. We just didn't want to make it a Norfolk or an Omaha thing. We want to be able to go everywhere. That's north, that's south, that's east, that's west. And I'm hoping today or tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, we get some more information and maybe we can things a little bit more solid for action. So just stay tuned. I think we're pretty close to doing something else out there, out your way. Um, any comments? Would be nice to we get all that out. I mean, we integrate those areas into things. It's one of the things we have to work out, and I think Carney's closer than getting that goal accomplished. I think one of the things for that is we don't have a home and we don't have a place to set up. One of the sticking points on Grand Island right now. Yeah, Aaron, you're absolutely correct. There's so many possibilities here. We there's we can go Minneapolis, Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Lincoln, Omaha, Des Moines, the Quad Cities area, down to Kansas City. We can do a Columbus Fremont thing, location that we go to, um, you know, kind of not spreading ourselves out too thin too. So, um, we're that's one of our growing pains, I think, right now too, is trying to fit everybody in and not step on toes and not disrespect other people, I guess is a good way to put it. Especially folks that have been doing this a lot longer and have other shows established. We don't want to come in and say we're taking over, but we want to work with other folks too, and we have to work around other dates and things like that. So I think, again, with Columbus, it's a matter of finding a place, really, and that's a lot of it. And as we get bigger, we have to find bigger places, which involves other things like insurance to spend to secure those locations. So taking bigger steps, but yet make sure when we do take those steps that they're measured correctly. What's your question there, Justin? I think there are so many places out here in the Midwest that aren't really used. People know about. I mean, when I was in Wichita for the Legends tour, there's a whole nother club down there, and that's something else that maybe reaching out and teaming up with them for something. The big thing is connecting everybody together and getting them on the same page, and that's the hard part of it. All right, good, Justin. I'm glad I was able to do that for you. That's a lot of what Brent and I do. It's talking to people and getting them to coming from what we're trying to do and how that is helpful to them and you and all of us together. And that's tricky and unique at the same time, because you know, don't want to think that they're being taken over, you know. Manage all of that is really the big question. We've done a good job. We've made a couple. If I could do things different, and these out there for us. Let's talk about the June show. That's actually a good point, because we didn't really talk about that. So here in Madison County, we're part of the Logan Valley Health District. Seeing is this: the governor is planning to open up things on a limited basis for the state starting May 4th. That was the last report I heard, so I don't know if this has changed since all of the outbreaks in the packing plants. So if anybody has new information, please correct me. With that being said, Madison County was at a little bit tighter restriction than the base restriction put on by the state. We have to clear that tighter restriction to get back to the base restriction, which allows everybody to kind of open up. And in that base restriction on May 4th, as I understand it, if they open up, and this is where the VFW comes into play because they are a bar/restaurant. The guidelines that I have or understand are this: you can open up no more than 50% of your max capacity. So, if the max capacity at the VFW is 200 people, we can only have 100 in at a time and no more than 6 in a group at one time. So we've got to watch. That's the hanging point. The other stickler on all of this is the VFW itself and whether or not they're going to choose to open. Because you have to remember, most of the VFW membership in Norfolk is, I'm like the young guy, and I'm 43. They may come back and say, we can't support this right now because too many of our are too old and too frail and may have underlying health conditions, and they may come back with that. So to reach out to the VFW and see what their plans are. But right now, I'm planning on having the show. Let's get that out of the way. The show is still a go. We want to have a good time. We want everybody to come out. But if you don't feel safe, or if you think if you're getting over allergies or anything like that, or you don't think you're at 100%, I would recommend you not come. Anybody else besides and or yourself too. So common sense is going to play a lot into that, I think. VFW is going to want to open. I really do. Those guys like to hang out with each other, so I feel more confident that it'll be open versus closed. It's just whether or not Madison County can get out of the tougher restriction back to the base restriction that was originally posed back in the March timeframe. So it's kind of where we're at with that. So, you know, if you want to keep a track on things, watch the governor's daily press conference. Look at the statistic numbers. There's several places out there. The CDC is a great reference on that. And if you start seeing the numbers go down for Nebraska, that's a good sign. So we'd love to have you up here. I mean, I know you got to come up for the race and everything, but you know, we love having you up here every time. About the June show. Minutes already, so if we just want to call it a night, we can do that too. So that's up to you guys. Like I said, I could talk all night. Call any last alibis, and I think we're gonna call it a night. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna call it for the night. Hey, it was a great show. I think this was the best one so far, and I appreciate all of you. Continue to be safe. Continue to support each other. Continue to support your families. And we will see you all next. We'll see you. All right. Bye.